revisiting the idea of beauty and how we look at it, and that anything at any given time in the right context could be found beautiful. Having the understanding of welding and woodwork and material manipulation, and being on construction sites as well for such a long time, like 12, 13 years, you're around these raw materials in bulk, and in their just complete raw state. So, you know, these are materials that are just there, and no one there is looking at it in an artistic way. But I always found these to be more interesting than just what they were actually used for. Wanting to kind of introduce myself into the fine art world, I needed to find my own canvas. So this is a new material that I've been working with, which is like torched down tar paper. It's a roofing material that I'm using, and then I'm actually doing a process of, it's called block printing, which I studied when I went to India. It's more about like the process of the hand applied repetition of pattern. It's my own process in a sense. I mean, I'm sure it's been done somewhere, but it's kind of like just my own interpretation of block printing. I really find it really interesting to travel, to live in places, be places, set up shop there, and create work there, because then I think it will always be interesting and exciting going to Mexico and drawing from that environment, whether it doesn't have to do with just the culture, but just the environment that I'm in. Like, where is my mind and my ideas go when I'm in that type of environment? I'm looking at going to Indonesia for a residency. You know, like, where will my ideas come from then? And being able to go to like carving villages and work with the people that actually do that traditionally, and then to see where my thoughts come from. And I think that my work will become stifled if I was just in New York City at my studio. If I'm able to pull from somewhere, then what I give off will be a reflection of that. I did design on the level that I had a crew of 7, 8 people at times, you know, fabricating. And when it became that, I was no longer working myself. I was managing and telling them and watching them. And I think something so personal, especially this process where like it's the stamping of it or even the painting of it, every time you stamp it, it's a different decision. How much paint you put on, how hard you hit it, you know, so it's gonna emboss more or emboss less, it's gonna be crooked, it's tiring, it's physical, it's your mind is in this one space, you're on your knees, so it's not, you know, you're going through all these emotions as well, and that actually kind of creates the painting, depending on how focused you are within the pieces, how perfect the stamp is going to be. You know, like even this one here, for instance, if you actually really look at it, the stamp, when I first started it, I messed up. And so that's why the lines are actually waving. It's almost like a curve to it. And I think that then becomes beautiful in its own mistake. It's an intimate moment with the piece. It's like the last intimate moment before it's done, because once it's stamped, it's like nothing else you can do. I was presented with this show as a project space, so I thought it was really important to use the space as a project. The pieces in this show, especially this room, the 4 pieces that are here, are custom made to fit within this molding. Those title put in place because there's twofold of it. It's one, the pieces are cut and made for the application of the space, as well as put in place in a sense because I moved to New York to paint. I dropped doing design and I moved here with a very defined purpose and reason, and it's taken like 4.5, 5 years to kind of really get my feet off the ground, but you know, it's kind of like putting myself in the place that I want to be within our world.